So back to the track then as those field event qualifying competitions continue. It's the first of 3 heats in the men's 1500 metres. Ingebrigtsen, how will he run this one? It'll be fascinating. There's the Norwegian. So away they go then on the back straight very quickly into the first bend, of course. And Ingebrigtsen, well, at the moment, right at the back, somewhat bizarrely and uniquely, I think, in an all-red strip for the Norwegians. That's make them easy to spot once we get used to it, although it makes them look a little bit like, I don't know, Turks, Poles, you take your pick. But Ingebrigtsen taking this very calmly at the back at the moment. Remember that astonishing brace of world records in the same race. He smashed the world 1500 metre record and the world mile record in Liège 3 weeks ago. 350 is in fabulous form. So the Frenchman leading it out, Louis Guillavert, trying to keep this honest, and Hannah a first circuit in 30 seconds. Not lightning quick, but it's okay.
More sort of towards the keeping it moving kind of pace. It'll be around about 3:45 pace. But Guillavert, a steeplechaser really by trade, and he is very competent over 1500 metres. But I would think Guillavert would fancy this race, moving around 3:40, 3:45 pace. But Jakob Ingebrigtsen, he's always happy just to sit and chill at the back and make one big decisive move. You can see the green lights just flashing on for a second here. With this being the first heat, I'm not sure what the green lights are indicating. I thought we were going to use them to compare the heats, but we'll keep an eye out for them in the other heats. But Guillavert, he's looking up at the big screen. He's using that to help him understand what the other athletes are doing around him. The national record holder for Belgium, Verheyen, hasn't moved off his shoulder.
Ingebrigtsen then, he's only had one race this winter, and that was the world record 1500 mile 3 weeks back. Sits at the back here. I fear if somebody goes down here, he could be in real trouble. The Briton Tom Keane running a smart race, staying off the curb there. Back in about 6th place at the moment as the Frenchman Guillavert continues to lead. The tall, long-striding Ruben van der Heyden is a good athlete, 4th in the European Championships last year to Belgium in Rome. Looking strong too. Back in 8th place is the Andorran Paul Moyer, holding his form well. And then back in 4th place is the Dutchman Abdi Ali, ranked 17th in Europe with 3:36 this winter. It's a packed event, and the Irishman there, Apeldoorn, a 3:53 miler in that Liège race, just getting himself in a little bit of trouble there as Ingebrigtsen just gradually eases up round the outside there. Look at the power of the Norwegian in that red strip.
And that's just caused chaos further down the field. You see Apeldoorn getting caught up with a bit of pushing and shoving. The Irishman, unfortunately, is just adrift of this group at the moment. But that's what happens when Ingebrigtsen makes his move. Everybody overreacts. Verheyen finally pushes himself past Guillavert. The Belgian does have the lead at the moment. But Verheyen, Ingebrigtsen, Guillavert, as they move through with 300 metres to go.
Ingebrigtsen then, as ever, rises to the top in the latter stages of the race like a fine cream. So relaxed. Van der Heyden running a lovely race. Apeldoorn, I'm sure we'll put in an appeal as he is down and out of it, as Ingebrigtsen leads these 6 through the bell, and it's 3 to go through by right, that's all. Keane of Britain back in 5th place, has got some hard running to do. So indeed has the Portuguese Pereira in 5th, but Ingebrigtsen just winds it up down the back straight. The power oozing out of every pore as he comes around the final bend into this short straight. It's going to be very tight for the minor places. The Frenchman goes through by right there, and on the outside the Portuguese gets through as well. Goodness me, the French Guillavert gets through, and was it just checking who it was who got through in 3rd place. We'll have to wait and see. Verheyen rather, making it through okay, I think. But it was very, very tight for those minor places. Guillavert certainly went through behind Ingebrigtsen. He ran that in such relaxed manner, as you would expect. It was Verheyen who came through in 3rd place, excuse me. Our commentary position isn't ideal. We're about 30 metres past the finish line. But Ingebrigtsen, Guillavert, Verheyen go through. Pereira misses out by 4/100ths of a second. Very, very tight indeed. And Ingebrigtsen looks like he could do that again. That was like a repetition in training.
There is a look at the 9-person final for this men's 1500 metres. And it's a tricky task for the rest of these men. They have to believe they can beat Ingebrigtsen. They have to believe that he'll make a mistake in his pacemaking, and they'll be, you know, the next man to be someone that managed to beat Ingebrigtsen.
Your marks.
It doesn't seem to add any stress to Ingebrigtsen. He wears the pressure very, very well. And there he goes, straight to the back. And I'd say none of the rest of these athletes are natural front runners. Nada of Portugal is sitting on a really fast 800-metre time in the last couple of weeks, so he'll trust his kick. Azzedine Habs, he's been running on the low 330s many times in the last sort of 18 months or so. The Frenchman at the lead at the moment. And I wonder if someone just takes this to the 333, 334 kind of territory, they might increase their chances of medal. But is that enough to run the legs off Ingebrigtsen?
Well, I'm not sure it is. I mean, he's the fastest European in history by 2.5 seconds. He's a class apart. He's the most astonishing running machine is Ingebrigtsen when you think he's twice a world 5,000 champion. That 3,000 record last summer outdoors, 7:17, was out of this world. It really was almost intergalactic. And he looks very comfortable at the back there. Just what he did in qualifying, Hannah. He's taking it very, very steady indeed. And not really much happening up front. It's not quick. It's not slow. And Ingebrigtsen will just be thinking, is this best you guys have got?
And Pilstrom and Farken just going round Anselmini, the French athlete there. Is that a proper move from Pilstrom? It might be. The former international orienteer turned 1,500-metre runner knows how to navigate his way around stuff. But Pilstrom up onto the shoulder of Habs, and Gillivert with that steeplechase strength. I don't think he'll be pleased with how slowly this is going. And Jakob Ingebrigtsen, of course, he's going for the 3,000 metres later. And here he goes, Jakob Ingebrigtsen, as they hit the 600-metre mark. They're running around about 3:45 pace. He glides to the front. It causes chaos behind, as it so often does when Ingebrigtsen makes a move. It's a strong move. He's into the lead. Farken is down. He's disrupted Neil Gorley and Anselmini, and perhaps for Hayden there as well. Ingebrigtsen is in the lead, and suddenly this field is spread out.
Well, the acceleration only came in that last 100 metres or so, 29.56 that lap. It's single file now, and this is it. The story is, the stage is set for Ingebrigtsen to just wind it up here. Now, the rest of them can just sit in there behind him and let him control this and run away from them as is expected. Or one of them could try to go around him. It would take an effort, it would take acceleration, but it would certainly throw the cat amongst the pigeons. It would upset his game plan. He goes through with 3 laps to run, and they really are just playing his Pied Piper game.
So he's increased the pace ever so slightly, down to 28.5 there from 30-second laps. It's a bit weird here. The screen is on the inside. You can see Ingebrigtsen just cast his eye over to it then. It's not traditionally where it is at the end of the straight, but Ingebrigtsen's still using it. Everybody capable of running this pace for at least another couple of laps. That's the danger of tactical running. So many of them can live to 1,000 to 1,200 metres. But Jakob Ingebrigtsen, this time he goes through the balance, another 28-second lap.
Yeah, gradually accelerating. It's very cleverly done from Ingebrigtsen. The others won't now get on terms with him unless they put in a massive effort, and then they'd have nothing left for the finish. Gurley's left himself with a lot of work to do. I'd like to see him closer to the front there as they went through with 2 laps to run. But Ingebrigtsen leading them a merry dance.
I think there has been an increase from Jakob Ingebrigtsen over this final circuit. We'll get the lap split there. It's a 27. Jakob Ingebrigtsen is in the lead. He's been there for a few laps. He does not have a gap. Azzedine Habs of France trying to hold on. Isaac Nada with all his 800-metre speed is pulling up alongside Habs. Habs has nowhere to go. Ingebrigtsen is right in front of him. Habs and Nada are going to have to wait for the home straight here if they're going to get on terms with Jakob Ingebrigtsen. Ingebrigtsen with 30 metres to go. He's done it. It is another title for Jakob Ingebrigtsen. 3:36 on the clock. It's not the fastest, but it was a masterpiece of tactical running, finishing there with a 26-1. His 22nd European gold medal. And the first half of the double title defence is complete.
Doesn't put a foot wrong, does he? It's like he lives this charmed life. I got his last 400 at 53.4. His last lap, 26.2, there or thereabouts. Very comfortable indeed. He could probably do reps at that tempo, frankly. He looked that easy. When you think that he won the European cross-country in Turkey, in Antalya, back in December, he then had a couple of months through to getting his first indoor race under his belt, the only one before these championships indoors. And he smashed the world mile record, the world 1,500-metre record. And here he comes, and he makes it look all too easy. Well, it was the sort of race where maybe Habs and Nada thought they could have a shot at him. but his acceleration over that last 100, around the final bend, and then he gritted his teeth and really opened up over the last 30 or 40 metres, was mighty impressive. He might not be a 141, 142, 800-metre runner, but he specialises at 1,500 metres. He's made it an art running the 1,500 metres and the mile race, and it gives him time, that distance, 4 laps of an outdoor track, 7.5 indoors, to let it roll out, to dictate how it goes, and he gets it right time and time again. He's the absolute master of the art of miling.
A 22nd European gold medal for Jakob Ingebrigtsen, 3:36.56. Azzedine Habs on the podium again, as he was in Istanbul. But Isaac Nada with his first indoor European medal. Second heat of the men's 3,000 metres. Remember, it's just 6, no time qualifiers, and I think it makes for a great spectacle. It's much easier for fans to understand. We're not sitting here trying to describe other athletes in previous heats. So Jakob Ingebrigtsen, personal best set, winning in Istanbul, 7:40. Of course, 7:17 outdoors, the world record, but indoors he's not run incredibly fast yet. You'd say the championship record could be under threat as we go through these championships. It stands at 7:38 to Ali Kaya from 2015. But Magnussen happy to take up the running at the moment. It's a competition of who can run the slowest first K and then have a burn up. That 2:25, really impressive, sort of led by George Mills in that first heat, and that's some serious closing speed.
Well, and also his last 2K, 5 minutes.
Nice.
After a 2:50 opening kilometre, I mean, he wound it up wonderfully, Mills. He never really gave anybody a sniff at getting past him. It's a toughie, a tough way to run a race like that, tough way to try and get past somebody. Not that they needed to, you just need to finish in the top 6. Foggy here, Adam Fogg, an Aussie Brit. Good to see him sitting in there. He's a great racer, is Foggy, a 3:49 miler indoors last year. 7:40 this winter, and that was in New York at the beginning of February. But so many men in this field have broken 7:40. I mean, look at John Heymans of Belgium, 7:37 in Boston. Baldwin Magnussen of Iceland, 7:39. That was in February in Espoo. Nielsen of the Netherlands, 7:37 in Karlsruhe at the beginning of February. I mean, it's 7:40 has become the old 7:50.
There's a lot of talent in this heat, and a lot of men that will think they've got a right to be in the final. And Niels Laros, what an opportunity for the young Dutch athlete. He finished off his junior career in Antalya with a win at the European Cross Country Championships. It was a good way to... No, he didn't, did he? No, he didn't win the junior... he did win the junior cross country title. So much drama in Antalya. But Laros is much more a track athlete. I think 1,500 is his best distance. But him and Nielsen, the two Dutch athletes, are choosing to run the longer distance here. You see a lot of 1,500 metres run up and do a 3,000 indoors.
Well, Laros, there he is, loping along third from the back. He's supremely competent. At 19 to have run 7:29 is quite astonishing. Massively talented young fella. He's got good speed too. This is the thing. So many of these lads these days, this generation of middle distance runs, have wonderful speed. Laros is a 1:44 performer at 800, 3:29 at 1,500, 7:29 now at 3,000. Not yet a fast 5,000 to his name, but it'll come.
Magnussen doing all the work here. We're going to come round and see the first kilometre marker here, and I think it's going to be around about 3 minutes or so. I didn't think we could get much slower than the first heat, but I think we are. They were 2:55. There you go, 2:50. All right, they weren't any slower. And bang on, exactly the same.
Do you know what? 2:50.10 for this one. The first heat, the first K, 2:50.11. I mean, within 1/100th of a second. That's a few centimetres.
So we will see Jakob Ingebrigtsen at some point move through this field, and it caused chaos in the men's 1,500 metre final last night. Robert Farken going down in the end because they're all waiting for it. They all know he's there. It's like someone looking over your shoulder, trying to copy your work or trying to see what you're up to. They will all know that he's looming behind. And Adam Fogg's got a turn of pace. He'll be ready to respond. And I think I'd rather be up in the top 5 or so here. You might get a glance at the big screen. You might know that Jakob Ingebrigtsen is coming. When you look at the likes of Andrew Koskeren or Stefan Nilsson, Sam Parsons sort of in the middle of the pack, they could be caught unawares here. Laros well placed. If Ingebrigtsen goes round him, hopefully he go right on the coattails of the Norwegian, as we see Philip Ingebrigtsen watching on from the sidelines.
Yeah, watching on from the sidelines, having not qualified Jakob very relaxed at the back, goes through with 8 laps to go. I'm glad to see Adam Fogg of Britain up towards the front there, just trying to cover everything that might go on behind them. It's early stages yet, well before halfway in this 3,000-metre race. But single file, I think he's wound it up a little bit as the Icelander from the front at the moment.
Just a tiny bit, yes, Tim, you're right. And Magnussen, he does know his way around a 3,000 metres. 7:39 is best.
Isn't it interesting that Laros has chosen to take things very relaxed as well? Second from the back, just in front of Jakob Ingebrigtsen. You could argue in years gone by with great champions and the way they race, just shadow them, follow them, see what they do, try and follow them through. But of course you can't do that with somebody of Ingebrigtsen's calibre. He's so able to accelerate and surge through the latter stages of his middle distance races. You try and follow that and he'll just get blown away. Your legs will collapse under you full of lactic acid. He is a very special athlete. Not even one in a century, one in a millennia, I reckon, Jakob Ingebrigtsen. He's still right at the back of this field. No sense of panic or worry whatsoever.
But how often do we see in our sport when you've got a title and you've got an athlete like that in your event, that they just dictate the tone of everything and people just stop running a race that suits them? And you know, I just think we have got a lot of 1,500 metre runners in this heat. I do think this tactic might suit them. Jon Heymans, the Belgian there, he's just trying to get himself past Nielsen, but he's a 3K, 5K guy. This isn't going to suit him. It being this slow is not going to play into his hands, but he's let it go this way because that's what Ingebrigtsen does. So second kilometre reached in 5:31, so it is a little bit slower, and there goes Stefan Nielsen. He's the first man to lose his patience and take the bait. Ingebrigtsen, Laros still at the back. The field's bunching, they know they're getting towards the business end here. Just 800 metres to go now. The fastest lap of the whole race. They're finally down to 30-second clockings, led by Nielsen. Magnussen's done well to protect a good position there. The long-time leader, Adam Fogg, moved very quickly onto Nielsen's shoulder. Laros and Koskinen trying to move. Ingebrigtsen still last.
Yeah, Ingebrigtsen not worrying at all. That second kilometre, 2:40, was only 8-minute tempo. It really didn't come alive, this race, in the second kilometre like the first race did. Moving down the outside is Koskinen of Ireland. That's a big surge there with 3 laps to go. That's a 29.3. Still nothing from Ingebrigtsen sitting at that back there, just oozing confidence.
And I'm glad to see, you know, the likes of Niels Laros has said, I'm not waiting any longer. I'm not risking not making this finals. Top 6 qualify automatically. And but you can tell the other athletes, they're always looking over their shoulders saying, has he done it yet? Has he come past us? And here goes Jakob Ingebrigtsen as we go with 400 metres to go. He's out in lane 3, Ingebrigtsen, trying to get past this massive pack. And they will all try and respond. Magnussen tangled with Laros on the inside. Adam Fogg suddenly pinned in 4th. And there goes the new 1,500 metre indoor champion, the world record holder outdoors in this event. For the first time, Jakob Ingebrigtsen shows himself, and is he going to go all the way past Nielsen? 250 metres left to go in the second heat of the men's 3,000 metres. There goes Jakob Ingebrigtsen. He's gone for home. Nielsen trying to hold on to second. And there's a huge group here for just 6 places. Magnussen, the Icelandic athlete that led for so long, he's floundering at the back of the group. But Nielsen and Laros trying to make it 2 Dutch vests into the final. Blem of Germany has positioned himself really well. Ingebrigtsen, class apart here. He's got time to wave to the Norwegian team in the stands. And a celebration from Florian Blem. Romain Monet looking smooth. All of them in the end, the top 6 looking comfortable. Stefan Nielsen, Andrew Koskinen, Niels Laros separating themselves from Sam Parsons.
Wow. Just wow. The way he just eased around that pack, lengthens the stride, the power he uses. This man is quite magnificent. And you look at the way he gets that 4 or 5 metres on this field, Hannah, on that final circuit. It just looks effortless.
Did you say 2:21? That is really... I was impressed by the 2:25 in the closing kilometre in the previous heat, and that's just astounding. And it's did so much of that in the last lap. I love Blem's celebration here over the line. He positioned himself really well in that last 300 metres, and it's great to see him into the final 2:22.
And this promises to be one of the finals of the weekend. How can these men The other 11, apart from Jakob Ingebrigtsen, defeat the legendary Norwegian James West and George Mills. The two Brits in this final might have something to say about it. So might Niels Laros, the astonishingly talented 19-year-old Dutchman. He'll get a huge roar from this crowd, of course. Joined in the commentary box by Wendy Sly, who will assist us on this commentary. 15 laps of the track, and away they go. Now, Jakob Ingebrigtsen, there he is in that Norwegian strip, straight to the back, rockets to the back, and will just jog round these early laps. But I wonder whether anybody will take this out and make it quick and challenging, or if it will be a slowish race. James West going to the front, but he looks a little reluctant to lead it to me. Although, Wendy, these big wide bends on this track, of course, make being at the front, running the shortest line, more of an advantage than on other tracks where there are tight bends.
Yeah, I think in the 3000s particularly, it's quite important to get a position fairly early on in the race, because, as you say, Tim, overtaking on the bends is pretty difficult on these tracks. And George Mills there actually in a pretty good spot, as is James West. In the front, not in any trouble on the inside, and yeah, just a little nudge there from Jakob Ingebrigtsen as they go into the top bend.
Well, that first lap, 34.07, was pedestrian, very slow, and I think maybe Ingebrigtsen thinking, no, this is going to be so slow. If I sit at the back, somebody might go down and I'll pick up the results. So you don't want that. You might as well be at the front to control things. 34.59, an even slower second lap, can you believe? And this is jogging for the majority of these fellas. Well, it's almost the tempo of their Sunday morning runs, their long runs. But Jakob Ingebrigtsen being allowed to control things at the moment, and I've used the phrase once or twice in the past as of Pied Piper, and that's what he's playing at the moment here, Ingebrigtsen. The others happy to dance to his tune. He probably could be playing the flute at this tempo, frankly. But George Mills on his shoulder, Laros moving to the fore. This is only the third lap, and yet they're all gathering at the front, the big names. 35.11, it's very, very slow indeed. But when it's this slow, I suppose you can afford to be anywhere in the field, Wendy, as long as nobody kicks off hard from the front.
Well, I wonder whether that's why Jakob went to the front. Normally he sits at the back, but I think it was just too slow. And we've seen a few casualties on the track over these last few days, people tripping over, being caught on the inside or trying to get through on the inside. And he's safe up front there. And as you say to him, controlling the pace, even though it's pretty slow right now.
Well, 800 metres in, what, about 2:18 and a half there. That's a 34.63 lap. I mean, it's really is staggeringly slow. These fellas are all great 1,500 metre runners. Ingebrigtsen, though, remember, breaking that world record for 1,500 metres on the way to a mile world record 3 weeks back. So he has the least worries of all of them, perhaps, when it comes to closing speed over the last 3 or 4 laps. But it is rather worryingly bunched at the moment. 3 or 4 abreast in that pack. They're not wanting to run too wide, these fellas, because they really do run quite a few extra metres around the bends. 2:52 at the 1,000 metres point, 2:52.56. I suspect that in itself is a world record for slowness in the opening kilometre of a major championships indoors 3,000.
Well, George Mills there going to the front. I think he's got a bit impatient there, and also he's been a casualty indoors, as we've seen in the past, getting tripped. So I think he's thought, you know what, this is a little bit too slow for me. At least I'm going to get in front and give myself a little bit of space.
Well, Laros towards the back of the field on the outside there, left of pitch. They come through. There's another lap. What's that? 32.97. Ironically, that's the quickest lap of the race so far, almost 33 seconds. Yeah, Mills at the front will be very, very comfortable with this tempo here, and I'm sure that Ingebrigtsen is aware of the capability of George Mills. A 3:47 miler outdoors, 7:27, remember, is the fastest time in Europe this winter. It is almost in the all-time top 10 globally. Mills has got fabulous speed and power. His father Danny will be in the stadium, of course, former England footballer, defending legend himself. Almgren on the shoulder of Ingebrigtsen there, just boxes in the Norwegian as they go through yet another very slow lap. Nobody taking any chances here by going out in front and trying to press on, but at some point I have a feeling people will lose patience. Koskora for Ireland moving up round the outside from the back of the field up into about 7th place at the moment. The French duo there looking comfortable enough mid-pack. That's Habs, remember, who took a silver medal in the 1,500 metres
Yes, it's staggering really that all these guys are confident enough that they think they can out-kick each other, and also Jakob Ingebrigtsen at the same time. Although it has to be said, I'm sure Jakob's probably not the most comfortable where he is right now. He's got a little bit trapped there with people all around him, and that is the danger of running slow as they come up with 6 laps to go.
You make a good point. Nielsen losing patience there, the Dutch competitor, one of the 2 Dutchmen, Laros, back in about 6th place in the other orange vest, and they go round now with, as they approach 2,000 metres when they come through the line this time. Mills on the shoulders, Nielsen well positioned, Ingebrigtsen on the inside. You make the point that Ingebrigtsen doesn't really like running the middle of a pack. He's not used to it. He's usually at the back or at the front, very occasionally just making that surge through from the back to the front. But in the middle of the pack, he's not so familiar with this. 5:29 at 2,000 metres, 5:29 at 2:36 second kilometre. Again, still very slow for men of this calibre, but it's beginning to wind up now as they go down the back straight with 4.5 laps to run.
And Jakob's just moved out from that boxed-in position and is starting to look a little bit dangerous now. But George Mills still looking comfortable in front, and it's good to see 2 Brits up there in the first half dozen.
So it's Mills, Almgren, Ingebrigtsen, West. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 at the moment. Koskoren of Ireland in 5th place on the outside as they go around these bends. But nobody really wants him to be running wide on these bends now because the pace picking up, and Mills has hit the front. Mills down the back straight from Almgren and Ingebrigtsen, who's always been there or thereabouts in this race. He's a canny racer. He doesn't make many errors in racing. You have to run supremely to beat him. He was, remember, 4th in the Olympic final in Paris last summer over 1,500 metres, so he is aware of his vulnerability. A 28.2 lap there with just over 2 laps to run. Mills now still winding it up. Ingebrigtsen in second. When's he going to go? Here he goes now. Ingebrigtsen, 2.5 laps to run, and he hits the front, and Mills will slip into his slipstream. Almgren in 3rd in that yellow vest of Sweden. West in 4th. Koskoren in 5th. Habs in 6th, the medalist in the 1,500. 2 laps to run, and it's Ingebrigtsen out in front, and it seems that there is no sign of Laros here. He's not having a good day, the young Dutchman.
Yes, it's interesting actually. George Mills kept looking up at the screen, looking behind him, was almost waiting for Ingebrigtsen to go. And Neil Gurley, the other Brit, in an interview after the 1,500 the other day, said they were all looking around for Ingebrigtsen, and now he's hit the front. And George Mills, quite rightly, is tucking in behind him, which is the best place to be with 1 lap to go.
They go through the bell then. Ingebrigtsen leading, on the way surely to a double gold. Or can Mills deny him that gold? A glance over the shoulder there from Mills is telling. He's worried about those behind him, not focused on getting past Ingebrigtsen, who kicks on again with 100 to run. Almgren under pressure from the 1,500 medalist. Habs there in 3rd and 4th. Koskoren in 5th. But Ingebrigtsen, majestic, magnificent, comes home to an easy win there. 1:49.9. I got his last 800 metres. Fabulous finishing speed. That's what you expect at the end of a slow, meandering, tactical 3,000. George Mills, a super silver there for Great Britain. And the battle for the bronze, well, it was a big battle, and Habs was challenging for it and did get it. Just ahead of Almgren there. 0.2 of a second between the Frenchman, who gets his 2nd medal of the championships, and Almgren in 4th. James West, a fighting 5th there in 7:51, and Koskoren of Ireland, well, in 6th place. There is no shame in that against a field of that calibre. That's probably the strongest field I've seen in a European Indoor Championships for several decades, Wendy, I have to say.
Well, I think we were all looking forward to that race, weren't we? And it didn't disappoint. I mean, it was a strange and slightly frustrating race to watch, and I'm sure it was a bit strange and very frustrating for the athletes out there on the track. But you have to say that Jakob at times didn't look uncomfortable, but when he went to the front, he was supreme. And George Mills did the right thing by just hanging on to his coattails for as long as possible and coming away with a well-deserved silver medal there.
Well, Ingebrigtsen, I got his last 800, 1:49.98, and George Mills, he'll have been a click outside 150, I suspect. Brilliant for Mills. Look at him grimacing there in 2nd place. Ingebrigtsen also relaxed, a glance around, the finger aloft, of course, just the one finger signify number 1. That's me, and he is again and again and again. This is the battle for the silver. Almgren working so hard, giving it everything here. Habs, though, with that greater 1,500 metre speed, just easing past him in the critical last 20 metres to snatch 3rd for France. Only about a metre between them there. And James West, well, a brilliant fifth for the Briton with Coscoran in sixth. Ingebrigtsen being interviewed on the infield. I don't know if we can hear.
Dutch runners in this field, which is super great. Of course, makes it a lot more fun to race. So I want to thank everyone for coming. It's a great weekend.
Well, we talk about people being living legends. This fella really is. He doesn't make any shame of that phrase. He is quite astonishing, and will go from strength to strength. And a lot of people wondering what he'll do at 5,000 and 10,000 metres in years to come against the record books. Confirmation of that win for Jakob Ingebrigtsen, 7:48.37 at a canter ahead of George Mills's silver for Great Britain. Over a second, that winning margin. Habs taking that bronze there for France, just ahead of Almgren of Sweden, with James West in fifth place. There's the athletes bringing up the rear. Good running from Brehm and Nielsen and Torworth and Mornay to make the top 10. Niels Lados out of sorts today. I was expecting more from him. I know many were, but he finished the young Lados down in 11th place.